Hey, I'm Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic, and this is the Real Critic Roundtable, where African American critics come to debate, discuss, and have a little fun. Um, you know, this week, nobody really wants to talk about, people only want to talk about two things: Meghan and Harry, or possibly coming to America. We're going to get to both of those things in some kind of way today. And we'll talk about it a little bit. But of course, I got my friends here with me. I got Sean Edwards, Fox 4 Kansas City. And before he even says anything, I have a beef with him. Is that I've been hearing all this news about different directors and different films coming out of the shop that he's associated with. But do you think that he would share that stuff with us on this show?
I always break the news here first.
Talk to us, Sean.
I always Hey, how's it going, man? Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Man, we celebrating 1 year of the pandemic, 1 year of being locked down. A year ago today was my last sort of like industry participation project. This is my last in person, my last in person interview. It's weird. It's been a year, but I've been blessed. You just mentioned my affiliation with Hidden Empire Film Group, so I was able to sneak out, and we were able to sneak film a movie during the pandemic, which will come out in October. So we were thankful for that. But I know it's been a horrible 12 months for a lot of people, but it was a fantastic 12 months for me. I really enjoy not having to be involved with the hustle and bustle. I enjoy not being on a flight 2 or 3 times a week. I used the downtime to get a lot of stuff done that I've been putting off, and was able to get a lot of stuff done and built some new affiliations and some new relationships and just elevated my game. So I was thankful for the extra time.
Excellent. Well, we got Katya Woods here at couplesouls.show.com. Welcome, Katya. I don't have a beef with you today. It's just with Sean. So you and me, we good.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's been a busy week. I think I was at that last in person. I might have been self-made in New York, and we knew things were different because people were putting on jackets and ready to head out. And normally people are like, "Oh, let's grab drinks." Not that time. Everybody was like, "Yo, I'm trying to change my flight." And I was very lucky because I was a train ride from home, 2 hours, Penn Station. It was good to go. But it is sad, you know what I mean? I like Sean had a very successful year, but at the same time, I'm always mindful of the fact that over 500,000 people have died. And that is the sad part, you know what I mean? Like, and the majority of us were in lockdown, but we have people who are playing literally Russian roulette with people's lives and saying that all is well when things are not well and people are still dying. So, that's something just to keep in mindful. And I think the other winner um, during this pandemic were small films. So let's hope that when things get back to normal, whatever that is, that we don't go back to ignoring small films.
Well, I'm really glad that both of you guys brought up where what that this has been that year. Um, I it's so funny because I'm on probably on both sides of that. Is that there's been some really good things that happened from the pandemic, and for me, it's more so about being able to connect with family much better. My two daughters have been at home, and just to get into know. It's funny how much you learn you learn when you start to be locked up with folks, but to get to learn them and to get to bond with them a lot better was a blessing. On the side in which you're talking about, Akatia, my best friend lost both of his two of his sisters, and they just had an article in the Chicago Sun Times revisiting that a year later because his sister was the first person to die in Illinois. So there's these positive things, obviously, and then obviously the terrible toll that it took on human lives and here. But you know, I do think winners have been the movies. At least maybe the winner has been the public because the public got to see, I believe, some movies that they wouldn't have seen otherwise. If you guys have another comment on that, if not, well, we can move to the movies. But
No, the winner is most definitely the general public. Not only did they get a chance to see movies they probably wouldn't have seen before, they just have more time to watch more stuff. I mean, nothing wrong with that, especially in the business we're in.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing wrong with that.
And we thought we would run out of stuff. We learned, we probably found some channels and some little niches and some creatives that were like, you made this? So that
and
was
when,
a good thing.
and when we talk about the BAFTAs, we'll be able to talk about some movies that actually snuck through that people were able to see that I know you guys liked. I like
The Baptists went out here and embarrassed everybody.
when we
The
talk about it.
The
We'll get,
Baptists went out here and embarrassed everybody.
we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in a moment. But our first movie today is a movie called Cherry. And Katya, can you tell us what this one is about and your thoughts about this one?
It's about a young man who's, the best way I'm trying to say this is trying to find himself. And he wasn't the most popular, so he joins the military where he becomes a medic. And of course, naturally, he is over there and he goes to war and he becomes addicted to what is it
Opiates.
opioids, there we go. And comes back and he decides to rob banks, because that's what we do when you have a habit and you say, I need some money, let me go rob a bank. And I think those are the pluses.
Oh, those are the pluses. All right, so what
She
was
right.
well,
I gave you the highlights, and I'll let Sean take it from there.
oh wow, wow.
No, that's a great. No, that's the perfect. No, that's the perfect setup. I mean, the breakdown of the movie. Those are the highlights. Here's the problem. The the source, the book's actually dope. The problem is this movie suffers from one of the most overlooked aspects of filmmaking, which is the casting. Like, if, we overlook that all the time. If the casting doesn't work, the movie immediately doesn't go anywhere. That's the problem with this. Tom Holland's a great guy. He works for Spider-Man. I mean, he's a little irritating. He actually works better in the Avenger movies because he doesn't have to carry the entire movie. When he has to carry the entire Spider-Man movies, the results are mixed, in my opinion. In this one, he's just miscast. He was not the one for this. This is not his lane. He was not able to carry or convey the character or the character arc needed to make this story believable, authentic, or even worth watching. The secondary problem are the Russo brothers, best known for directing the Avenger movies. They're good with the comic book stuff. It works for that Marvel Cinematic Universe. It did not work for this gritty, realistic story that needed better directors at the helm. This needed better actresses. I forget the young lady who plays his girlfriend. She was terribly miscast. I mean, there was just nothing about this movie that worked. And I just was not all that interested in watching the story of somebody white in America just struggling when the table's been completely set for them to succeed.
so it's really interesting, Sean, is that of all the people, I thought the young lady actually worked for me. She worked for me. That doesn't mean the movie worked for me, but she did. And from a casting perspective, one of the things we always talk about is we talk about the writing, and I felt that they missed something there. I mean, it jumped and jumped and jumped. And I think obviously if you start, so maybe it's everything on this one. Maybe
It is.
maybe it's the writing, maybe it's the casting, maybe it's the filming. It 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 was a train wreck of a life. And if you're gonna have this train wreck of a life, then you have to have something that's gonna pull you in to say, I actually want
I
to see it.
care.
I want to see this. I want to see this train wreck. You know, you driving down the street and you see something and you be like, oh, let me stop. That's called a gaper. And there was nothing that made me want to gape at this. And I think that's what you're saying. Katya is not saying nothing because she's like.
What I was trying to find is the movie with Natalie Portman and Tobey Maguire, right? I mean, he wasn't addictive to something, but he had post-traumatic stress syndrome. And that movie worked because of Tobey Maguire. He is basically explaining why he is unhinged. Do you know what I mean? And you have empathy for him because of what he had to do in order to survive. Like Sean said, the problem is hard to have empathy for this kid because it's a choice. You know, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not going to downplay anybody going to war, and everybody deals with that differently. And I can understand somebody, doing drugs in order to numb the pain. But the point is, there is no, how can I say, intersection for us to understand what particular happened over there for him to turn him to see, when did he embrace, being in that crazy environment too, you know what I mean? And also it's like, I don't mind him being useful, but there is that turning point that you need to make as an actor when you are in that environment, so that we understand a little bit better why you're doing the things that you're doing, and it never happened. It's like he just changed outfits. He's like the same guy, you know what I mean? Like, he was over here and he had on maybe a vest, and now he's got on a uniform and a haircut, and now he's back, and the hair grew back, and he now decided, like, the point is that I think what Sean meant, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, he didn't have the emotional range to make us care.
Oh, you're right.
What we needed. You know what I mean? We needed to understand what happened to this kid. And it's also the script, though, because the script didn't create a pathway for us to go there. Do you know what I mean? So again, and also it's weird to me, like, this idea that if you have a drug addiction, that you automatically decide, in order to pay for it, you're going to rob banks. That's another leap. Like, you sitting at the house, like, you go straight to the bank, like most. And again, I'm not an expert, but I'm thinking, like, you'd hit the liquor store or something, because you really get, you know what I mean? It's not, again, it's just, there's just a bunch of stuff going on in there. And I feel like when they wrote the script and they said, how much crazy can we throw in here and get away with?
But one thing about the script, though, the book is, I've had a chance to read the book. The book is solid. So, this is all based on real life stuff. So I'm not going to knock it. I found it hard to celebrate stupid, because the dude was really stupid. But it was based on real life. The guy actually wrote the book while he was in prison, and it's a great book. It's just the Russo brothers directing was just, it was just like they were filming 4 or 5 movies and they didn't know which one to choose.
So let me ask both of you guys this, and then we'll move off, because obviously this was not the cherry on top of our
No,
week.
not at all.
But do you think that we're not the demo for this?
No, that's not true.
I don't think it's a demo. I think even if, let's say, you are a person who was in the military and you have a similar trajectory, I'm not saying, I think what Sean is trying to say is, if you want to connect with this character, you're better off reading the book than watching the movie. And that's where we are. I think if you are from that similar background, I don't think this movie does anything for you. You're not learning anything new about yourself, you know what I mean? Or your community, or your fellow vets, or any of that, And then I think also, I like Tom Holland. He's a nice kid, and I think he has a good spirit. But like Sean said, you needed somebody who could be a little bit more believable.
He just wasn't. Sometimes you're just not the one. He just wasn't the one for this film. He just wasn't.
Well, we're gonna leave that one at that. This is on Apple, right?
Apple TV.
This is on Apple TV. I can't recommend that you seek this out.
Nope.
So that's what I'm gonna say, Sean.
No, of course not. Hell no.
But Katya is probably gonna say, "Well, if you got she says this all the time." Let me do Katya. Well, if you have Apple TV and you don't have anything,
there's some other good stuff on Apple TV.
You to see something else, go watch C, and then be as taken back as me, and you can be like, what is happening? Way more interesting than this.
All right. Well, let's move on. Sean, this is a movie that I wasn't gonna watch until you sent this one to me to watch. I'm just saying.
You're crazy.
It wasn't on my list.
It wasn't?
No, it was
everything. Go ahead, Sean.
Sean, I'm just saying, I'm about to say something good. Thank you. I think.
No, I'm just messing.
I know you get me like I get you. I got you. Look, I ain't Piers Morgan. I could take somebody saying something against me.
Yeah. No. This the father. Oh man. Man. The Father is definitely cinematic proof, and we'll touch on this a little later in the show. The Father is cinematic proof that award shows are just garbage and are just totally unfair. In a fair world, Anthony Hopkins is locked down, runaway, best actor, winner by 10 miles. But unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman passed away. So, but this I've been watching Anthony Hopkins for a really long time, and I know people throw this out there all the time, and they scream and yell, "So and so just delivered the best performance of their career," and you cringe. You're like, ah, come on, hyperbole at best. Um, this is legitimately Anthony Hopkins' best performance of his career. And I know people are going to be like, "Well, what about Silence of the Lambs?" That was over the top. This was, whew, man, this was a masterful job of acting. He portrays an 80-year-old man who is going through dementia, and the way that the movie is written and directed, wow, it probably does the best example of dealing with this disease and taking the viewer and putting you in that person's point of view and giving you the total perspective of just how debilitating and damaging this disease could be on not only that person, but from all the people surrounded by that person. And, Olivia Colman also stars in the film, who, I'm on a hyperbole train this morning, who also, for my money, is the best actress of our generation. I know people scream and yell about Meryl Streep. If we had an actress draft, I'm going Olivia Colman. She's fantastic. I mean, this is real life stuff, y'all. The way that the story carries through, the way that everybody's humanized, the way that they treat dementia, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's a wow.
Yeah.
At the end, you're heartbroken. I mean, you're teary eyed, you're exhausted, and you just wow.
Yeah.
It gut punches you.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Sean, because the exhaustion is what I felt a lot. I mean, there was so much in here that what Anthony Hopkins had to do in terms of vacillating from all these different types of emotions and people, and letting us know that he wasn't remembering that and he thought about this wrong. It had my head spinning.
Yeah,
And when you talk about the direction on this, I want to speak to the editing on it. Is that the way they edited this
that too.
really worked for me, because I was like, huh? Well, wait, didn't he just say that they were going to Paris? And it he was captivating, fantastic. I don't know. I'm not trying to get in no argument. Don't start now, won't be none. So I'm not trying to say that Olivia Colman wasn't good, because she was excellent in this. I loved her in this. Hyperbole about the best. I don't know,
She's dope.
but
She's dope.
but the two of them, it made me think about all of the challenges that go along with trying to care for your elderly parent, and all the pieces that come into play. And they did it so well that they really do have you like this.
No,
I mean, I was stuck to the screen on this one. And Anthony Hopkins, I do challenge you on Silence of the Lamb, like you say, is over the top. He needed to be over the top in that one. He killed it. But here, it is his best performance since Silence of the Lambs, in
well,
my
I'll give you
opinion.
that. I easily give you that. I easily give you
In
that.
my opinion, Katya.
I saw this movie at 8 a.m. at Sundance. I was completely, I had a cold. I was sniffling, sitting there with my jacket around me in the second row. And I boohooed through this movie like nobody's business. And I wasn't the only one. My grandmother had dementia. And I think, hands down, I said this before. I said Anthony Hopkins is the only white man that should be in the final five for
You
Best
did
Actor.
say that.
That is the only one. Everybody else should be a person of color. I know Anthony Hopkins is one of the best actors out there. I loved him in obviously Silence of the Lambs. I also like the fact that he has a little bit of a sense of humor. Like when you meet him, he's not as serious as people think he are. If you follow him on Twitter, he's hilarious with his cat and business. And he the other day who was dancing. I liked him in Howard's Hen. And the thing about Anthony Hopkins that that you never have to worry about is you believe him. Even if you don't like the film, you like him. You are willing to go on a ride with him. And boy, does he take you on a ride. I like Olivia Colman, but Anthony is so good in this freaking movie that you almost forget that there are other people in it. Like he draws you in, and it's like Regis, there are different stages of this, and he is money. He does not stay out, he does not miss a beat, and you are like, oh, this is this stage, this is this stage. Like when he feels threatened and the emotions on his face, sometimes when somebody's faking it and they're giving you that over the top, what they think you're supposed to want. There is nothing about it. And I love how and I know this probably had to be emotionally draining for him. He threw himself into this film 150%, not 100%. And again, I love this film so much. It's hard to watch. I mean, it's not one of those things you're going to watch 10 times, but I definitely recommend it. And I think, again, Olivia gave it the nice balance because you have to be patient. You have to be understanding that the person you're dealing with is sick and this is not their authentic self. But it's, again, I agree with you, Reggie. Editing, if the editing is not done right, then we are not willing to shift into these different dimensions.
Oh,
And I thought the tone, I thought the set design, because you have the different sceneries and you're like, are we still in this apartment? And then you're like, okay, everybody did what they needed to do and then some for
yeah,
this work. But again, Anthony
absolutely.
is the only white guy that should be announced on Monday. I cannot even believe that people bring up Gary Oldman. I'm like, what did we see? Are we watching the same things? And I do agree. I think if Chadwick was alive, this vote would go either way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
It'll be a.
it would be one of those things where the other guys are in it because you need five. But in terms of votes, I wouldn't be upset, if they went either way. And again, Anthony is just beyond special. And this
Yeah.
is a movie that we're gonna come back to time and time again. But this is really good.
Here's my question for you, Sean, is that when we talk about movie making, so they look at a movie like Mank and they like, oh man, this is Hollywood movie. I think that this is movie making at its excellence. When you look at everything from top to bottom here, I'd just like to get your thought on that.
No, no, Mank is excellent filmmaking. I mean, the craftsmanship in Mank is great. That's not Mank's flaw. Mank's flaw is the story's boring and we don't really care. Like, but no, the cinematography, the editing, the art direction, all the stuff that goes into making a film. No, Mank is spectacular. Same thing with The Father. There's just two different types of movies and two different types of executions. It's just that The Father is a much more compelling movie and the acting's better in The Father. But the craftsmanship in the Mank is top tier. It's just the story's garbage. I don't care. I don't care about.
Definitely
I
want
don't
to get
care
your
about the screenwriter of Orson Welles or Citizen Kane because I'm sick and tired of the narrative that Citizen Kane is the best movie ever made. It's not.
Katya, any thoughts on that?
I think exactly what Sean said. If you turn off the sound in Mank, it's more interesting than hearing the people talk because it's
Yes.
visually stunning.
Yes.
It's a movie that most of us struggle to get through because we did not connect with these characters. I think Amanda Seyfried is beautiful, but she's not that pretty to make me want to care about her character either. It's
No.
just it's like a nice window display in New York
Yep.
at Bloomingdale's or Macy's,
So
or Saks, where you stop and you look and you're like, oh, this is amazing, but it doesn't necessarily mean you want to buy all the outfits off the mannequin. It's
Right.
just that's what it is, and we have to. And I challenge this question. Everybody says they love it, and I go, well, which character, what story, what drew you in? And everybody starts talking about the technical aspects, right? But at the end of the day, is the technical portions of the Oscars is going to clean up. But when it comes time to the story compared to the other contenders, Is it more compelling than Sound of Metal? Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely
absolutely.
not.
Well, I don't even think it's going to clean up in the technical level. I mean, because it's not winning editing, it's not winning art direction, or it's so it may win cinematography, but that's about it.
Yeah, I
So,
think
so
that's the problem. You have other movies this year that drew you in way more and then in with less. That's the thing, is this movie had, I mean, everything at its
it did.
disposal to be
It did.
successful. Do you know what I mean? And we still don't care. That's
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah, so for me, this is a watch it, and it's
Yeah.
a strong watch it for me. But there is a I don't know, a Surgeon General warning because because um, this is not. I agree with you, Katya. This is not the movie that you would want to. I think just a regular person would want to watch twice. The
No, 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 no.
the acting in this is just absolutely superb, and it's gonna touch you. I can't see how it won't. So to me, it's a watch it, Sean.
No, no, it's definitely a watch. I mean, let's keep it real. Most people are not going to watch this movie. Like, this is a movie where people are gonna have to actively seek it out and want to see it. But by no means is this a mainstream movie. Most people will never ever see this movie.
Yeah, Katya.
Oh, absolutely. Bring some tissue. You're gonna get it's gonna touch you in a way that you're gonna be like, Jesus, you know? Again, like I said, I started off my day with that at 8 a.m. and I was like, I came out of the theater and people thought, I was like, geez, what have I done to myself? I need to
I
see
mean,
comedy.
yeah, yeah.
Last.
More importantly, can Anthony Hopkins pull the upset?
Yeah.
I don't think it's, you know what? I hate to sound like that because that it sounds harsh,
Why? It's
but
not
it's
harsh.
hard to
Keeping
compete
it real.
against a dead person. It really is, especially one that's well liked. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like Chadwick will get another chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
gonna be
hard
tough.
to vote against that person. I'm just saying,
That's
that's.
gonna be tough. It's so. I'm so.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, like, I honestly, I would love on Monday for the Academy to get some courage to go to the Wizard, to have gone to the Wizard and bought some courage and see Delroy Lindo's name on there. That would be amazing because I too feel like he is getting lost in
He's
the.
got a shot. He's got a shot at he's got an outside shot at the
Yeah,
Oscars
but
just
that's
because
what
of
I'm
the way they
saying.
make him.
That's
He's
why
got an outside shot.
That's why I
So
said I hope everybody went to see The Wiz, bought some courage, and said, I am going to not be predictable and write his name in there.
all right. So now we can move on to the next thing, which I call ponder this. This is those quick industry hits. We got a minute to try to get it in. And the first one is not even on our list that I sent to you guys. The first one is Netflix is saying that they're gonna crack down on sharing of of the password. Any thoughts, y'all? Care? I care. I care. I need.
No, I mean, from a business standpoint, from okay, number one, from a business standpoint, you have to. Number two, they have to crack down because Disney Plus is making gains on subscribership. So they got to keep pushing forward with their subscribership so they stay ahead. I mean, I totally get it. I mean, it's not like Netflix is that expensive, man. The one thing that annoys me more than anything in the world are cheap people.
No, Sean. So, all right. You know,
Okay, put yourself. If you ran a business,
I'm
say
with you.
I mean,
I, I
if you
feel
running
you.
a business, you don't want but piracy, and it's basically it's a form of piracy. Like I tell people all the time that you can't, yeah, it's like piracy.
But
I,
I disagree with you, Sean, that it's like piracy right now because I think that the Netflix, I know the Netflix knew that, and that was one of the things that they were using to as part of their customer service is that okay, you can have it here and your daughter can have it in at college.
that's
So
different. That's
I know,
different.
but it's still sharing of the password that
We're
she's.
not talking about that though, Reggie.
uh,
We're not talking
But
about
they
like,
cut down on that period. They're
no,
gonna cut.
we're not. What I'm saying to you is same members of the household, right? If Sean and I live together, we're
Right.
not going to get separate Netflix accounts. That don't make no type of
That
sense.
make that'll make sense.
That's
That'll make
No,
sense.
that's not my point though. My point is
That'll
that they're gonna cut down on my daughter will not be able to have that out because they're gonna cut down on on the address. Is the address is where's that address coming from? So they're going to cut that down. Period. I just use that as an example.
They have to. They do.
I still agree with you, Sean. I agree. Go ahead.
But
So we're talking about what let's put it out there, what we really are what they're talking about. We're not talking about family members. We're not talking about colleagues. Right. We're talking about 20 people that are not related to one another that live all over the world sharing one Netflix account.
Right.
That's, what is it, $12.99 times 20? Yeah. Now multiply that.
But Ray and Boogie got to get
their own Netflix account.
No, I'm trying to share with Ray.
Let me break it down for you. If you are wearing $200 sneakers and you're claiming you can't afford a $12.99 Netflix account,
we got a problem. We got a problem.
Well, and Netflix isn't the only one who's going to do this. They're all going to do this. Like they're just the first one out the gate. But yeah, there's nothing more unattractive than a grown adult on their mama's account on anything.
All right, we're gonna have to drop it right there because that was good. That was good. All right, say that again.
There's nothing more unattractive than a grown adult on their mama's or daddy's account. That's so unattractive.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so here's my next question. Hey, will the movies pick up since Trump lost the presidency? There is a big decline in cable viewing watching. I know I'm not watching CNN, MSNBC, C-SPAN, or PBS as much as I was. I was glued to those things. I got some extra time on my hand. What do you guys think?
Well, number one is we don't have to worry about every 5 minutes the world coming to an end because we have a madman at the White House. I mean, literally days before he's supposed to leave, we had people storming the Capitol. I mean, that wasn't that long. That wasn't last year. That was a couple months ago. You know, what we're tuning in is, the trial in Minneapolis. That will get us back to it. What we're tuning in is to see if these folks are going to get prosecuted properly. But when you don't have a crazy person running the country, you don't have to constantly look and make sure, do I need to go to my bunker? Do I need to plan an exit strategy? I mean, that's what it is. Even think about social media. We don't have to, as much as, you might put in parameters, you might mute his name like I did. He still came down my timeline every time something happened because people are either fanatically for him or
So you're agreeing that people will have more time to watch more stuff?
Living in that, what is happening or what is he saying? You know what I mean? And we were like Sean pointed out, it's been a year since the pandemic. And we have someone competent handling this. No one's telling anybody to put bleach on them, drink bleach or anything crazy like that.
All right, let me get Sean in there. You think people gonna be watching more movies, Sean?
That's a tough one. I actually believe that no matter what side of the political spectrum you fell on, Trump was a fun watch for people. That's why he got elected. I mean, let's keep it real. He got elected because people like, let's face it, Americans aren't the brightest bunch on the globe. People wanted an entertainment factor more than they wanted someone who was good at actually running the country, and people enjoyed that. So I don't know if they're necessarily going to watch more stuff or just fade into oblivion. We'll see.
Hey, you got the comment again. We dropping the mic on that one. Moving on. Hey, purely out of spite, did you hear about this, guys? That YouTuber Bob Wolf put Tenet on Game Boy Advance video cartridges. He put it on 5 cartridges to spite Nolan, and it messed up the way it looks, the resolution, all that type of stuff. Is the worst way to look at that. Does it matter? Is Nolan mad? I'm
not from that world. Nolan Ben done got paid from that film. Next, I'm not from that.
Next.
I don't.
I'm the same way. That's not my.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Michael B. Jordan. He is confirmed to direct Creed 3. Thoughts, you guys?
Sean.
I mean, it's good for him. He starred in the first 2. He wants to jump behind the camera. Do we necessarily need a Creed 3? We kind of know where it's going, but if it's going to give him some experience as a director, I mean, hooray.
So Coogler's brother is penning that one. Yeah, no thoughts. All right, Katya, any thoughts on that?
God bless. I hope it works out.
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of these like stories like that. Let's wait until it's done and see it.
All
Like,
right,
it's
good.
just,
Well, talking about let's wait till it's done. Do we really need a Mission Impossible 7 and 8?
hell no. That's
I'm having a
skip this.
problem, y'all. I'm
Skip.
having a problem. So I'm gonna start this one. No, do we really want to see 59-year-old or maybe 60-year-old by the time they do number 8, 60-year-old Tom Cruise doing these fantastical stunts and all that? I'm done with Mission Impossible. No, for real.
I didn't like the first one or the second one.
My problem with Tom Hanks is that he turned it into the me show. And that's not what Mission Impossible is. The beauty of Mission Impossible, it's a team of people. I sat there and watched the first one and go, did you watch the TV show? Like the black guy is an integral part of this team, and he is a co-star. All these people, the women are like there to be pretty, and the women are also what's the girl's name? Barbara something, right? Forgive me. Who had like the most stunning face, but also was incredibly cunning. Leonard Nimoy, who played Paris prior to doing Star Trek, also great, had that great, all these people were professional, great liars. And also Ethan Hunt is not the leader of the group. You have a true leader. Again, this turned into one of the most exciting, amazing TV shows and into the Tom show. And this is my problem with him on a lot of things when he takes something that was beloved and well made, and you're sitting there and you're going, what have you done? So no, I think the stunts are great, but again, the story turns into hokiness. And I don't know if his goal was to compete with James Bond, but there's a hierarchy with that. And you need all those players in order for it to work. But with Tom, it's the Tom show.
Well, the problem with the franchise is this is the only thing that Paramount Pictures has. So they got to make the announcement so they can get some influx of cash because they don't have anything else. And the three of us probably have more money in our checking and savings account than Paramount.
Oh, dang, you dropped it again. All right, moving on. All right, so we're talking about movies. We got two more things I wanted to catch in this enlightening round, and the one is Star Trek.
You're killing me today.
It was killing me, man. So
killing me today.
Do you? Firstly, are you? We got the new movie is going to be penned by Kalinda Vasquez, who has worked on Star Trek Discovery.
Good.
Okay, unlike the last film we talked about, right? There is a plethora of characters to pull from, right? If we're using this nucleus of the crew that they have now, it's a good crew. You know what I mean? With Star Trek, the thing that has to work is you need a good Kirk, you need all these players to be believable, so that the team needs to be believable. And you need a good villain. Whenever the Star Treks are bad is because you don't have a good villain, where you're like, and maybe, hopefully they'll introduce somebody new. We done worked through the Vulcans, we done worked through the Klingons, we done worked through these other folks. And like, I'm a huge Star Trek fan, but again, I'm willing to acknowledge whenever it goes south, it's because you don't have a good villain to counterbalance the good people.
All right, Sean.
But
I thought,
wait and see.
What's left? Haven't they explored the entire universe? It's time to park the ship.
No, you still got the Kardashians. You got the new people from the other side.
The Kardashians? Did you say the Kardashians?
People from Deep Space Nine. Sorry. Well, the Kardashians do need to be.
Oh, all right. My last one. We're moving on. My timer went off here. The last one is Women's History Month. Is that in 2019, women directed 10.6% of the top grossing movies. In 2020, that has bumped up to about 16%. Is that a trend or is that a blip?
Well, I'm not a mathematician, but last time I checked, women represent about 50% or more of the planet. So if we're at 10 or 16%, those numbers are way low. And whenever they do these studies, 1 year does not make a, you this needs to be like year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and on. You can't judge anything on 1 year, and we got a long way to go.
Yeah, I'll jump in before you, Katya, because I'll let you have the last thought on this one. Is that I don't think it's a trend. I think what happens is that
It's a coincidence.
you get it to happen right now. I like we talked about last week. Hey, this is the year of the woman and all that other type of stuff. Is that it'll happen, and then we'll be back here, a year or so from now, saying where are the women directors and
Same thing with black movies. This year, boy, when's the next? I mean, man, it's a vast emptiness until, yeah,
yeah,
it's weird.
Katya.
Well, it's a couple of things that bother me with these numbers. There's a world of difference between white women, black women, Asian women, Latina women, women that are LGBTQ plus, and the list goes on and on. To me, it's like grouping them all together. Look at the DGA nominees. All the minorities get thrown into first time, and the white woman gets into the regular director category.
That was
always
cold. That was
and
cold.
and you always have like all the white directors who are the dominant members of the DGA, circled around Greta when Little Women were out, and the hell with all these other women, you know what I mean? And I honestly believe, in my opinion, that the first time director category was created so that you can feel good about the minority directors. It has nothing to do with talent. Second part of this is, if you really are for these women, look at how many women get at least, and I'm being polite, $20 million to make a movie. Majority of women on that list made a movie for less than 20 million. I'm going to be polite and say less than 5. So until you give women at least $20 million, the marketing and the promotion and the DGA starts nominating women of color, not just for first time, but all these other, and it becomes a norm that they get nominated at the Academy Awards and all these other award shows. This is a bunch of BS.
Yeah, she's exactly right. Because me, I'm always preaching it's about the money. It's about the money and access to A-list crew talent. And yeah, and I said it right here on the show. I told you Regina King was not happening. Told you it was not happening. They threw her in the first time director category like she was an alien.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And that's nothing against Emerald. And she directed a nice film. But there is a disparity between what the support, and let's also talk about Regina King is actually on the upside because she's one of the few women of color that is well liked by all of Hollywood. Now think about something like someone like Channing, who doesn't have that type of support. She should be offered, she should have a contract, she should have the opportunity to make a film for $20 million, but she doesn't. You know what I mean? She's given the opportunity to make a series. And again, the amount of money that Greta gets to make these movies that are underwhelming, in my opinion, is just criminal because she's a white woman. And we need to start talking about this when it comes to allyship. I am tired of us as Black women, Latina women, women of color over supporting all women. But when it comes time to speak about equity, white women don't speak up for us in terms of opportunity, in terms of money, in terms of access. Stop inviting us to show up to the march, but when it comes time for you all to show up for us, you all are numb. There's no wording. Don't stop clapping for our speeches. And no, just because Oprah can do it doesn't mean we good. It's time to show and prove.
You dropped the mic. We gonna leave that part there, and then I just one more thing on for Women's History Month is that I just want to speak on, and I think both of you guys probably know this, is that there are some women, Black women in Hollywood who are running some studios, and do we think this is enough? Are they doing a good job? How do you guys just think about that overall? I put a list out there of
no, that list was great, and they are to be celebrated, but it has to be more than that. They have these jobs. True equity and true equality is if they get these jobs and are allowed to fail.
And then get another one.
Yes, and then get another one. If they are allowed to have these jobs, if they succeed, we applaud them and move them up. But if they fail, can they keep the job or can they get another job? That's true equality. Failure in this business is true equality.
I love that, because that's what they have been saying about Black football coaches for a long time, is that you get the job, and then, okay, after 3 years, you got to go someplace else. Can you go someplace else? Is there a place for you to go? Last thought to you on this, Katya.
Sean nailed it. Nailed it. Black women, Black people, period, have to have the same opportunity to fail upwards as white men.
Yes.
That's what it is. Point blank, period. I mean, you cannot expect somebody to be in the job for 2 minutes and then super successful. You know what I mean? Where somebody else has been in the job for 10 years and has been mediocre, but nobody has a problem with that. I mean, again, we got to start telling the truth. And I know a lot of people don't want to lose their invite to the VIP room, but are we journalists or are we fans?
Yeah, and like I said, Reggie, one thing about Black people, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, when you get these jobs, Black people day one have to walk into the office as Superman. We're not allowed to walk into the office as Clark Kent.
Yeah, wow. And here's the other thing is people say this goes back, right? People say, why do we not get a lot of variety? Because when you're in that job, you have to go with a thing that's the sure thing to return equity.
Yes.
You take a chance on a Miss Juneteenth.
You can't fail.
It's a great movie, but it's not going to make you the type of money like a Tyler Perry thing is that may not be the best thing ever, but you know it's going to make money. And that's the other thing is, what's the point of being in that job if you are handicapped for giving somebody the budget and an opportunity? Like, I get it. You do 10 of the whatevers to make money, but you should have the freedom to say, you know what? I made you money in these 10 things. I'm going to give this money to this filmmaker because I think that in the long term, it's going to return in our investment. That has to be an option as well.
Well, that'll have to be the last point on that. But I really wanted to get into some women's issues for Women's History Month, and I appreciate you guys for that. Turning to our next to last category is the industry topics. Now, we talked about topics, but we had to get through those really quickly. Here's a couple of things that we don't have to get through quickly. There's a new study, and Sean, you just got through talking about this. You say, I don't want to hear about all these studies, but there is a new study that talks about how the undervaluing Black-led projects cost Hollywood $10 billion annually. I've always known this, but I just figured they don't care, because people say, I know, Sean, you say, hey, it's all about the money, but I know that studios are saying, we'll leave that money on the table, because if it was all about the money, they go get the money. There's money on the table that they can see. They know it's on the table, and they're like, we don't need that money. We're good.
That's why I don't like all these studies. I mean, dude, I've lived my whole adult life reading studies. It's time for action. Like it's been 1,000 of these studies. It was saying the same thing since the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020s. I mean, they come out all the time. Where's the action?
Got to.
I'm with him. We you know this, and here's even we're global people. So here's the thing: is if a movie works in the United States, it's a very good. It's 99% sure it's going to work in United Kingdom. It's going to work in France, and wherever there are Black people, because we're so thirsty to see ourselves. The problem is marketing and promotion. We talked about this all year, where we have good movies that nobody knows about, or they're being shoved into something. We talk, perfect example, Small Axe. They mishandled the marketing of this thing so freaking bad. And it's getting some awards love, and it's criminal. It is absolutely criminal. So again, it's time to show and prove. Again, the Annenberg Center, like, okay, cool. But hello, studio heads, where's the money?
Hey, plus, I'm tired of all the talk, man. We've been on this. I mean, Nigeria's got one of the largest filmmaking communities in the world. I don't see AMC running over there to build multiplexes. I don't see studios creating alliances. I mean, just shut up.
All right. Well, with that, I am going to shut up on that and move to Sean. You wanted to talk about BAFTAs and Image Awards. What do you want to say, man?
I mean, we're professional critics, man, and I just think that we're professional critics of color. We are Black people. That is obvious. Anyone watching this can see. We're very much Black, but we got to just call it as we see it, man. The BAFTAs embarrassed a lot of these award shows, particularly the NAACP Image Awards, because the breadth and the diversity of the selections. And I know they changed the procedure, but so what? It's still a contest. It doesn't matter. It worked out the way it did. I just thought it was. I just thought it was 100% embarrassing that they had the most diverse list of nominees, even more so than the NAACP Image Awards, which their Best Actress category and a couple of other categories were absolutely positively embarrassing and just looked ignorant.
This is a really good discussion. Go ahead, Katya, because you chomping at the bit on this one.
No, I mean, the thing about it is, right? Here's speaking of something. The BAFTAs got called on the carpet for not nominating Black people,
right,
in the major categories. Because again, all the Black people were in the new star, rising star category. Listen, it's the affirmative action category. They got the message and they did what they needed to do. They talked about it and now they're show improving.
They did it.
The key is to be consistent going forward. The Image Awards is supposed to be, for lack of a better word, are equivalent to the Academy Awards, whatever you have there. And you can tell that the people who are nominating these folks are not film and television people. Like, you don't know Michaela, you know, the Best Actress, no Nicole Bahari. And it's just, you can tell it's like a popularity thing, you know what I mean? It's like Roland Martin is you know, sitting on a panel, and I like Roland, but that's not your lane. Like, I don't do CNN politics. Why are you always in our chair? It's all this type of stuff. I mean, it's like Omari Hardwick winning Best Actor. You know, God bless Ghost, and it did what it did, and I'm not mad at Black people working, but is he really though? Like, really? Are you serious right now? And you know, it's that type of stuff. We look at the white award shows and we be sitting there going like, you know, what's the girl from Borat? And we're like, or Jared Leto, you know, being in the race for 2 seconds, and we're like, what? This is the same thing.
Same thing.
No, I love that you guys are bringing this up. I will say is that when you look at the BAFTAs, because I know we got a couple more topics that I want to kind of squeeze in. When you look at the BAFTAs, there's one movie when you look at the BAFTAs that both of you guys have been talking about for a long time.
Dude.
All right, go ahead. I'm not even gonna say it.
Dude, I cheered. I mean, I just don't know how his house has been just getting so ignored. Like, I mean, what are y'all? I mean, I gotta call in the question. What are y'all watching? And when you watch it, what are you looking for?
Let's say they're not watching anything, because if you are watching things, I'm gonna be polite. Even if you watch, let's say we all watched 300 films, but if you watched 150 films last year, you still come up with better results than what this is. Again, filmmaking, Black people are global. We're not just in the United States. We're supposed to be celebrating our Blackness. And when you look at this, and it is like freaking high school prom queen and prom king categories. And then again, rumor has it, allegedly, anytime a person that is authentic and is associated with film and television points these things out or is on the committee, they get rid of them the following year, because that person is trying to do it the right way. So we do have to ask, who are on these committees? Who are these people? Here's the thing. We are screaming at the HFPA about transparency. We need to do the same thing for the Image
Awards. They got to come clean. The Image Awards got to come clean.
Well,
You know?
hey, we're gonna have to leave. We're gonna have to leave it there because we do have a couple of more things I want to get into real quick. I'm gonna skip about movies reopening and go straight to Coming to America. Sean, you put this one on our list about the divisiveness, and man, this movie brought a lot of controversy. People, when you look at some of these collaboration sites like Rotten Tomatoes, even I mean, it didn't even make it over 50% for the audience. I've been on Twitter, and people are really mixed on this movie. Thoughts, you guys?
I'm not going to argue about. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, so I'm not going to, get into a diatribe about the Rotten Tomatoes score. But it was just a lot of, that's why I'm not on. I'm taking a break from social media because of Lent. Just to see if I could do it or whatever. And I'm glad I did because I don't even know if I'll go back. It's just the nastiness that's been said about the movie, and just some things that go beyond whether or not you enjoyed a film or you didn't enjoy a film. I mean, you're completely entitled to that. I just don't understand why we as a people get so divisive just over such trivial and trite things when the battle was already uphill to begin with.
Yeah, it has been really tough. I mean, some of the stuff that people
Yeah.
is like, it's absolute garbage. It's bull, and I mean,
I'm
and
like, wow.
and the way in which they're coming at it is like I can't even have an opinion saying, well, look, here's some things that I liked, and this is why I liked it. This is why it was enjoyable to me, or whatever. Oh, you ain't blah blah blah. It is this movie. I'm really surprised, and so my question was: is it just not right for the? Is the movie just not right for the times? Did they just not understand? Did they understand the audience? It must have been a lot of things that came into play here because it just didn't work for a lot of people. Katya.
Well, a couple of things is when the original movie came out, we didn't have social media. You didn't have a means to immediately gauge people's reaction. Social media has changed that discourse, right?
Oof,
Whereas
yes.
before, you would have to read a newspaper, go buy the newspaper, read the newspaper, or wait for something like Cisco and Ebert or whatever, right? And then, or it would stay right within your community. You didn't have, you tweeted something out and it went out into the world. I agree with Sean. I mean, I didn't give it a good review, but I stayed on facts. I stayed on why. I'm not getting into Eddie Murphy as a person. I'm not getting into all these other people as a person. I mean, it got so crazy. Somebody actually tweeted out saying that Kevin Hart is better. And I said, Golden Child is better than all of everything that Kevin Hart's ever made. If you take two sketches from SNL, better than anything and that Kevin Hart ever made, I'll take that to the bank. I'll put $1,000 on that easily.
But why? My problem is always why we have to do that comparison.
Because here's the
That
thing:
that Kevin Hart can be good and people like him, and Eddie Murphy can be good and people like him. I'm just saying I don't want to hear that.
Social.
We shouldn't do that. But here's the thing: is we have a generation, and I'm learning this, and not my child because I teach my kid that has no context, has no beginning, has no end. They only know what's in front of them. So if Kevin Hart, one thing that he does do really well is he's in your face 24/7. Eddie Murphy does his work, he promotes it, and then he's back to minding his business. These kids don't know how to relate to somebody that isn't on Snapchat, that isn't on Instagram. So if you're not in their faces, then they don't think that you're any good, which is wrong. But going along with what you said, Sean, there is a portion of us that is very vile and that likes to that holds us to a standard that they don't hold our white counterparts to.
Or themselves.
The thing is, we don't check our white counterparts when they say crazy things. You are entitled not to like something. You're not entitled to disrespect something. Two different things.
Yeah, I also think social media has exposed us to this just a plethora of people who are just ignorant. Like, we always knew there was differences in educational levels, but this social media thing, it's bottom of the barrel. It's just, I mean, it's just foolish. It's actually bad. Like, we just don't know how to express ourselves. It's terrible.
Yeah, the thing that bothers me is not that there is social media. The thing that bothers me about social media is that the ability to respect people and have a real conversation. I don't have a problem that you didn't like the movie. I agree with both of you, Katya.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best. It
Like the
wasn't.
movie.
It was not the best movie, but I mean, it still was a fun experience. But it didn't require just personal attacks and all. I mean, it's
Right.
my goodness.
A-
At the end of the day, it is just a movie.
Absolutely. We're down to time, so I'm gonna move on to the last segment, which is the best thing that we saw this week. The best thing I saw this week was Piers Morgan walking off the set of Good Morning Britain. That was the best thing ever. Here's a grown man who's spouting off about what he believes and talking about freedom of speech, and then he can't take somebody professionally dressing him down professionally. The person wasn't hollering, wasn't screaming, he was like, well, wait a minute, Pierce. The person has a right not to like you or a right not to talk to you. And then you run off the stage like a big baby. That was the best thing I saw this week. Katya, best thing you saw this week.
Since we're going to his name is Alex Beresford, who happens to be the weatherman on Good Morning Britain. Kudos to him for having the fortitude, the calm, the strength, and the courage, unlike his co-stars, to sit there and say, this is why you have a problem with this woman, because she ghosted you. This is all because his ego is bruised and because she went off and married someone that he deems to be inferior to him. That's what this is all about. He can disguise it as into the disrespect of the royals, whatever. It is personal. He is offended that this biracial American woman didn't want to date him or whatever the fantasies going on in his head. I don't know. You guys are men. Maybe you can explain it a little bit better. But he is butt hurt and it shows. But Alex broke it down. I was like, my boy, he was on there. And then when he walked off, he said, that's just diabolical. But the end of the day is Pierce is a coward. How are you going to sit up there on TV for 4 years talking about this woman and this man in 5 minutes summed you up and you ran off like a little bit? You quit your job because somebody told you about you. You quit that's a luxury that white people definitely have. Somebody talking to you about your faults and you're like, I can't do it. I'm quitting my job.
Absolutely. Sean, what was the best thing?
He says something to you, you like, I'm done. Kansas City, I'm walking off.
No, I ain't doing that. No, I guess I was gonna say something else, but I'll stick with the theme. I mean, the best thing I saw a week was and I'll tie it into Monday since the Oscar noms are Monday. I hope they create a new category so we can nominate Oprah Winfrey because her performance with that Meghan Markle Harry interview was, I mean, she was doing the most. I mean, she was even acting surprised when Meghan was talking about the racism. I'm like, it is the royal family.
She leaned in a couple of times.
I'm like, Oprah was acting. I was like, man, she's killing it. I mean, look, it's the royal family. Like, we know they're racist, Oprah. I mean, they practice colonization. That's the most racist thing you can do. And she was acting shocked and surprised. It was crazy.
I was like, they're not racist. England. The reason why we have so many people speak English is because of
colonization. They are right.
What are you doing here? You're the only people following suit. The reason why the Spaniards followed suit is because of your example. Like, is it a coincidence that Hong Kong was a former British colony? Like, hello, people. Yeah. It's just really, I am in awe that people are shocked. And here's the other thing is, can we just say this, white people? It is not our job to educate you on racism. You either want to know or you don't. It is not my job. I am not a teacher. I need a salary if I'm teaching people. Number two, this idea that the United Kingdom is not racist. You are living in a bubble. You know what I mean? Because the black and brown people have been telling you that it's racist. And number three is this idea that it's not my custom, it's not my country, so it's not for me to say whether or not they should still have the monarchy. That's their business, their taxes got to pay for it, not ours. But this idea that this family that has been asked for decades to come into the modern era refuses to embrace the modern era is just, and also I love this line. Well, they go and visit people from all over the world, they're goodwill ambassadors, because they've stolen from there. They're not there because they like Black people. Like,
No, I mean, you totally breaking it down, but we are over time. There were two things I wanted to get into, and I'm asking you both to seriously do it short. One is that obviously there's no mangrove. I mean, not in mangrove. There's no small acts in the BAFTAs, so that just terribly pisses me off. And then the other thing is that nobody's watching award shows. I believe, and I'm gonna speak on this real quick. I do think the marketing was so terrible for small acts that it's a shame that you got these 5 masterpieces and you're talking about British work and their work is not there.
Amazon's fault. That's Amazon's fault.
It is, but it's an absolute shame, and it bugs the heck out of me because they were just masterpieces, and we talked about that. And then the other thing on award shows, I think, is because the reason people aren't watching them, because you keep seeing these ratings, is that they don't sync up with what people are watching. Is that people aren't watching the things that the award shows are watching. That's
and the format of these award shows are bad. They're more Bob Hope than 2021. You got to shake up the format. The format sucked. We're still doing the same thing we was doing in the 1940s and the 50s. That's not how we watch stuff now.
You got the last word, Akatu.
I agree. I think we need to, we have all this great technology to make it more fun. And I actually liked it the year when they came out with the Oscars and they said something about each nominee. It personalized it. It made it a little bit more connecting. They did it one year and they never did it again. I think they need to revisit that so that people care. Because when it feels like, okay, well, the winner is, well, we knew who the winner was going to be. Why do I need to watch for that?
Hey,
well, it also can be in the winter is Nomadland because nobody in the world's seen Nomadland and nobody cares.
Well, I'm just prepared.
Oh, I know it's going to win, but nobody. That's why the ratings are going to be garbage. Nobody cares.
We had 1 year of great, and we're going to have back to Green Book.
Well, I will be watching the BAFTAs. I'm gonna try to figure out some way to watch this on one of these TVs here because I want to see that. Hey, this is the Real Critic Roundtable where African American critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. We did all that. We went through a whole lot of stuff, and I'm gonna drop some clips because we got some hot stuff this week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, thank you.